And most definitely the churches are leading people astray, just like you see here with this Catholic priest and Polaris Lucifer, the one-eyed God right behind him. Everything's in plain sight for all to see. Just like this one Catholic church in Poland, obviously the pyramid structure, Lucifer, Polaris, dead center, and I find it interesting as well with the sun rays. You got 3 on either side for your 33 when it comes to Freemasonry. Obviously, Polaris, Lucifer, is the god of this world. And like I showed earlier, they put the god of this world on the back of the US dollar. Now, moving on to other religions, all religions are based on deception. There's a creator, of course. There's Jesus Christ, but they obviously invert things. They obviously distort the truth. And here's an example at the Mecca in Saudi Arabia, the Kaaba, which is the cube itself. And this is considered to be the holy land of the Muslims, where in Islam they do this ritual where they walk around the cube. And many people believe this is a cube of Saturn, but I believe obviously it comes down to Polaris. As we know, Polaris is stationary and the stars revolve around Polaris. Just like the old saying, you think the world revolves around you. This is where it comes from when they have that saying. And here is a time lapse, a still shot of a time lapse again of the star circling, or the people presented as stars circling around Polaris or the North Star. Just like you see here in this still of a time lapse, and here's an actual time lapse of the star circling around Polaris for all to see. And now, taking a look here, as I've shown before in previous presentations, where you have the Big Dipper, and obviously Polaris, the North Star, and each season you have the Big Dipper change its position based on, obviously, the star circling above. And what does it come down to? The ancient peace sign from India. And take a look here. You have, obviously, the Big Dipper being presented in each season. You have the waters around our flat earth, our fixed flat earth, and you have the 4 corners of the flat earth. So the truth in plain sight for all to see. And getting back to the Kaaba or the cube in Mecca, take a look here. And I should mention as well the domes and the 2 pillars, just like in Freemasonry. Just as you see, of course, in a Masonic lodge. And again, the cube, obviously huge symbolism with all religions. And just take a look here with this one tribe in Israel, as you see the cube on the head. And again, take a look. I mean, it's everywhere. In Christianity as well, with the cross itself. You fold the cross and it forms a cube or a box. And definitely this all relates to Polaris, the stationary god of this world, the spirit in the sky, that actually looks like a cube. And I found this pretty interesting, going back in time, back to the 80s with the Rubik's Cube. And you have also the Polaris Cube, and you can see the star in the center of the cube itself. Just like you have the cube in New York with the bite out of the apple, which obviously represents the Garden of Eden. Now moving along here, again, getting back to Polaris, the god of this world, and you see here the founder of the Satanic Church, Anton LaVey, and obviously he has the symbol of Polaris, the North Star, dead center, with the lightning bolt, which obviously represents Satan himself, where Jesus stated, I saw Satan fall to earth like lightning from heaven. So obviously, with Satan being thrown to this world, and you have the North Star Polaris being high up, but God, the Creator in heaven, is the Most High. So again, you have the God of the world that's high, and you have the God in heaven who is the Most High. And that gets into Washington, D.C. and the U.S. government. Obviously, they constructed Washington, D.C., the capital of the U.S., based on the star of Lucifer, Polaris, just like you have Anton LaVey, like I mentioned. And just look at this one organization, well-known organization in the U.S. government called the CIA. And they have what is called the compass star, which is Polaris. You see right here in the Central Intelligence Agency right on the floor. And there you go. There's Polaris for all to see. And I found this interesting as well with the CIA memorial. What do you have? This dome structure with all the stars. Let's get a little bit of a close-up and a little bit more. And you can see Polaris. And there's the dome. Just like God's created flat earth with the dome above. And moving forward, take a look here at the most powerful Freemason in U.S. history, Albert Pike. As you can see, adorned with the 33, all the Masonic symbolism. Very famous Freemason, like I stated. And Albert Pike just so happens to be 33 numerology. And as many know, he claims that Lucifer is God. Just as you see here, Lucifer, the light bearer, and you have the ribbon symbolism. For those that follow my channel, they'll know ribbon is 33. So all these concepts that they put into play are for a reason. These are not done by random. There is a reason. There's a method behind everything they do. Just like you see here with this depiction of Lucifer over the world, the domed world, and again, the North Star Polaris up above. Just like you see here with Lucasfilm, the same kind of art symbolism, just like you see. And again, the sun and the moon under the dome itself. And also LTD for limited underneath the dome. And what people need to understand, people like George Lucas, just like all the writers, directors, producers in Hollywood, their job is not to entertain, it's to program. And George Lucas mocks his own fans in this one 1997 book, Easy Riders, Raging Bulls. Why is the public so stupid? Basically stating they have no idea why they even watch movies. And again, getting back to the whole concept of the dome, the flat earth dome in his logo, before you watch a movie based on aliens, deep space, this deep space programming, he's giving you the flat earth truth in plain sight before the movie begins. Now, getting back to the occultic side of George Lucas, take a look here at the character Yoda from The Empire Strikes Back and the similarities to this demon that was summoned by Eliphas Levi. This depiction was by Manly P. Hall, as I've mentioned many times during my podcast and during my video presentations. As you can see here, Manly P. Hall, and you have the sun and the moon and Lucifer Polaris dead center. And again, getting back to this depiction by Manly P. Hall of Eliphas Levi, a very famous occultist and Freemason. You see Baphomet in the back. You see the demon, again, looks just like Yoda, the character. The pentagrams, the stars on the ground. And that gets back to Hollywood itself, which has all to do with black magic, satanic ritual, and you see the stars on the ground, just like in this depiction. So they call them Hollywood stars. They call them the Hollywood stars for a reason, obviously. Again, all has to do with witchcraft. And getting back to the character of Yoda from The Empire Strikes Back, you see George Lucas with Yoda, and again, the resemblance cannot be denied. Now, back on topic with Hollywood and the directors, producers, and writers, they're all in the know. There is so much predictive programming coming out of Hollywood, and definitely they have the foreknowledge of what's going to take place well before it happens. Here's a prime example, a perfect example with concept artist Ralph McQuarrie working on The Empire Strikes Back footage. As you can see here, in this one scene from the so-called ice planet Hoth, and you see these snow stormtroopers, and just take a close look at this helmet. You see integrated that 9 with the 11 in the 01 in the orange stripe. Orange, of course, the only color in numerology that equals 33. But again, you have the 9 in the 11 and 01 as in 2001. This is really unbelievable, considering this goes back to the late 70s. But again, people have no idea when they're watching Hollywood movies of what they're really looking at. They are watching programming taking place at every level, just like I showed here with this helmet, just like I showed earlier with the Flat Earth Truth in Plain Sight. Just like the concept with Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome starring Mel Gibson, they don't pull these concepts out of thin air. There's a backstory, and the public being very ignorant to what's happening in this world and not knowing that they're deceived from birth. And taking a look here at this depiction of the Thunderdome with the lightning bolt underneath, and actually taking a look at the actual movie scene, and you have the judge in the robe and getting a little bit of a closer look under the Thunderdome with the Masonic square and compass, and like I mentioned earlier, the pole star. As you see here at the very apex of the Masonic square and compass, in the eye itself, the eye of Polaris or the eye of Lucifer, and again all underneath the dome, just like the modern TV show Under the Dome. They always give us the truth in plain sight. People believe this is just fiction, but they don't understand this is the world of duality, the world of opposites, where they give us the truth in movies, TV shows, and music, and lie to us in the news and the school textbooks. Now, I found this concept extremely interesting with the Astrodome, the very first dome stadium built in the world. And of course, Astrodome basically means the Stardome. And what do you have here in plain sight? This is obviously Polaris, the North Star. So basically, this is a ritualistic creation of the world we live in, the flat earth dome. It's a glass ceiling above, like the Bible states. And again, this monument, basically, they're God of this world in plain sight, and very few are going to understand this. Just like when it comes to REM and Automatic for the People, and basically the North Star Polaris in plain sight. Here is the hotel it came from, Sinbad Motel, and that's just a plan name with Sinbad. Getting back to the Astrodome itself, what you see underneath here, the dome, again, the glass ceiling, and you see the rainbow seats, which represents the reflection of the dome above. So definitely, we are not living on a ridiculous spinning ball zipping through space. We are static, we are stationary, and there's no evidence, no proof whatsoever that we are zipping through space at the ridiculous speeds that we're told. And again, more importantly, people have to catch on and see how the people that run this world, they're not going to tell us the truth in words. They're going to put the truth in plain sight. And you just have to be able to decode and understand the occult, which basically means the hidden. And obviously hidden in plain sight.
I am the guy in the sky.